Hey guys, Babs with Listen to Your Inner You. Thank you for watching and subscribing. Donation link is below. Also, a link to my website is www.listentoyourinneryou.com. You can book sessions on there. They will show up in your own time zone, which is easy to schedule. And you'll be paying online as well. So today, it's just a short video about why your stories might not be kicking in. There's multiple reasons. I cannot tell you right now. If you ask me, Babs, this is happening. Why is this happening? I don't know. Please book a session. I can help you there. We will analyze, we'll go through all the steps and check what's going on. But a couple of pointers are, why are your stories not kicking in? I've been affirming, nothing is working. Well, number one, it could be that you have not accepted something that is. You haven't accepted a belief. You haven't detached from it either. You haven't accepted a fear, a doubt, a situation, anything, a feeling, a need, anything that you haven't accepted could be what is currently causing resistance for your story to kick in. Whatever story or belief are currently playing out over and over, they're active, which means you have to deactivate them. And you can deactivate them by accepting them and accepting how you feel about them. That's how you deactivate them. And then step 3, so accept them, accept how you feel about them, and then you turn them around. And if you don't do that, if you don't do any one of those steps within acceptance, that's resistance and attachment, and it can continue that current story or belief that keep pushing out over and over and not make the new one kick in. That is one reason. And fears and doubts are just stories. A belief is pretty much just a story. Unless it's a core belief, then it's a bigger story and it'll take a longer time. But for example, I was changing the story that everything has changed, everything was different, was kicking in, and I detached and everything worked fine, but nothing had changed. Every day I'm like, nothing has changed, the story isn't changing, that things have changed. It was so annoying, and it took me a month to find out why. I hadn't accepted that I needed things to change. I was attached to the story of things changing. So I sat there and I'm like, oh shit. And I was really upset about it, because usually when we accept something, it's not that we're happy about it. Usually we have to accept things we're upset about, and that's why we have to accept them, because we're upset about them. So if you think about something that makes you upset, you probably need to accept it. So I sat there, I'm like, I accept that I need things to change, and I'm like, crying my eyes out, and I felt so much better. And then the story kicked in within a day that things had changed. So there's a great example of having attachment towards the resistance. Woohoo! I was changing another story that I am the love of his life. And I said it over and over, and I didn't believe it, And then I realized I never accepted that I didn't believe that I was the love of his life. I'm like, it made me super upset. I cried for like 10 minutes straight. And I went, I accept that I don't believe that I'm the love of his life. I'm bawling my eyes out. And it feels good to bawl your eyes out. It feels good to let it all out. And then I'm like, And then the story kicked in within a fucking day. I'm like, yeah, of course I'm the love of his life. Duh. So sometimes we just need to accept certain things, and we have attachment or resistance towards it. So accept everything that is, accept everything that isn't, accept what things look like, accept how you feel about all of it, and then accept how you feel about feeling about it, and then be okay with it or don't be okay with it. Feeling something, you have to be okay with it, or you have to be okay with not being okay with it, because that's acceptance. There's a lot to acceptance, but it's fairly easy. It's a very easy exercise that will make you feel better pretty much instantly. And it's a game changer in manifesting and regular psychology. Acceptance is so, so important for everyday life, not just manifesting. So yeah, that's reason number one. Another reason could be you may have a current story or a fear or belief that's overriding it, and you have to address those first. There's a great example of, I was working on my hair being more voluminous, and I'm like, my hair is voluminous, I have more hair, blah, 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 and it wasn't kicking in. I was doing it for months. It shouldn't take that long. Changing a story You can do this within a week. If it takes longer, then something is off, right? This is a true fact. If a story is different than a manifestation, we're talking completely different things. A manifestation can take a lot longer to come in than a story changes. You can change a story within a week. Core beliefs are the ones, they're the jerks that take a while, and that's okay. It's okay that they take a while because you're changing not just a belief, you're changing all of who you are. Anyway, back to that. My hair's voluminous wasn't working. I'm like, shit. Of course it's not kicking in. I have the belief that I only inherited the worst things from my parents. My dad has really fine hair. So great. And then I was working on that belief, and that belief wasn't changing. Well, guess what? I didn't feel good enough to have my own hair or deserving or whatever. My core beliefs were off, and therefore the belief that I only inherited the best things from my parents never kicked in either. So I started with my hair is voluminous, found out that I only inherited the worst things from my parents, found out that I'm not good enough and worth it and deserving to have nice hair. So that's how it goes, right? So if a current story or a belief are in place that are overriding what you're trying to set as a new rule or a new assumption or a new affirmation, then you have to accept them and deactivate them by turning those around first. So you have to do like a ladder thing. You're starting here, my hair is voluminous, I only inherited the worst things from my parents or the best, and then going to I'm good enough and I'm deserving of my own freaking hair. So you're working backwards. In manifesting, we're always working backwards. We're finding one thing that was caused by another, that was caused by another, sometimes or oftentimes, especially with core beliefs in place. This is what happens. You have multiple sub-beliefs that came from this big belief, right? So when that happens, we want to change the core belief. We want to change the actual cause of all of this below misery of these crappy beliefs. But yeah, higher beliefs or bigger beliefs or older beliefs or worse beliefs, whatever you want to call them, core beliefs and other beliefs, they need to be changed first before you can address the ones on the very bottom of the ladder. So your core beliefs are off and giving you a hard time with many things, and that is normal, and they tend to create a lot of other beliefs, and they can't tend to create more beliefs. Call them stories. I like to call them stories unless they're actual core beliefs. So your core beliefs, I'm worth it, I'm good enough, I'm deserving. Start with I'm worth it at all times. People keep asking how to identify core beliefs. You don't have to. I did. I already did. I'm giving them to you here for free. I'm worth it, I'm good enough, I'm deserving. When you start I'm worth it, I would really, really suggest you take a session with me, even if it's just one session ever. It is worth it. There's so much that goes into worth it. If you haven't changed core beliefs, please, 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 I suggest take at least one session with me so we can talk about it, because I'm worth it. There's so much that goes into it. You're changing at least 10 very serious habits, life-changing habits, and you're getting rid of very, very major mental compensation techniques such as anxiety and depression and all kinds of other things. There's a lot that goes into this belief. It's not just I'm worth it. There's a ton that goes into it, a ton. And it is okay to ask for help. It is okay to get help, and I'm here to help. So I really suggest get a session, because core beliefs are no joke. They're very serious business. You're changing every single thing about you, who you are, from the core up. That's why I call them core beliefs. So I suggest you get a session, at least one, so we can talk about it. And we're actually, in the session, we would be combining manifesting and the core beliefs, because they go hand in hand. And that's why I like manifesting and the core beliefs, because they go together like this. They're perfect for each other. But again, core beliefs tend to override other things. So if things aren't changing for you anymore, you may just need to go down and crack down on those core beliefs. That's about it. I hope you have a great day.